Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the African American Church and the restoration of the original hymns and spirituals of the church. And we have with us to talk about the restoration of the original hymns and spirituals of the African American Church, Minister Gregory Taylor, as well as the Reverend Dr. Amos Jones. And of course, let me welcome you, Brother Taylor, as well as you, Reverend Jones, to the show, Reverend Dr. Jones, to the show this morning, and tell you how delighted we are to have two such distinguished clergymen to talk about what we consider to be, and certainly, Brother Taylor, you consider it to be a very, very important thing in reference to the church. And I think that Brother Jones is going to talk about some of his research and some of the things in which some of the individuals that you've already mentioned. Yes. But let's start off by having the two of you give us some information about your background, your education, and your experience. And we'll start off with you, Brother Taylor, and then, of course, Brother Jones will end this segment by talking about who he is and some of the contributions that he has made, and then we'll start dealing with the African American Church.
Okay. Dr. Haney, I am from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I graduated from Selma University in 1980, went to graduate school at Virginia Union, and we grew up under the singing of the late Dr. J. Robert Bradley for about 17 years, and I've done missionary work in the state of Alabama, and we went on to graduate school at Virginia Union. And that's basically introduction to myself. And
of course, you've been very, very concerned about this whole issue of the restoration of the original hymns and spirituals in the church.
Yes, I really am, because I see the old hymns and spirituals of the church as being what oil is to the Middle East, the old spirituals are to America. And in the, I heard at Emory University, it says that the healing of the American family will start with the old spirituals.
Very good.
Yes.
And of course, Reverend Dr. Jones, let me have you to give us some information about your background and some of the things that you've been involved that will deal with one of the major characters, major individuals in a real sense, Dr. Bradley.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about that.
Dr. Haynes, it's good to be here. And I was born in Giles County in Tennessee. That's the home of the Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
But I grew up in Nashville, and my home church is 15th Avenue Baptist Church, and I can recall there the music of Dr. E.W.D. Isaac and the choir that he directed. And so that music experience introduced me to Negro spirituals and hymns and anthems, as well as gospel music. But I was educated here in the school system of Nashville, and attended 1 year Tennessee State University in civil engineering before entering into the military and Air Force. But then the Lord called me to preach, and when I returned to Nashville, I went to American Baptist College and then Vanderbilt for 2 degrees. And so my experience has been, since Vanderbilt, of writing, publishing. I worked at the Sunday School Publishing Board for almost 20 years. And now I have my own publishing company, Bethlehem Book Publishers. And I happen to have written the book, the biography of Dr. J. Robert Bradley. And so that, in a sense, is some of my life.
And so both of you have been involved. You've been involved in the ministry for a long time. Is that right?
Almost 50. Almost 50 years.
For a very, very long time.
Yes.
And of course, you have recently
25
years.
25 years.
And of course, I've also been involved with it for almost as long as the two of you. Mm-hmm. But I think that what we're talking about today, why don't you, Minister Taylor, give us some statements in reference to why you think that this issue is important during the last minute and a half.
Okay. We were taught at First Baptist Northport, and that church was referred to in Alabama as the stabilizer of the Alabama Baptist Convention. All of the ministers in the state of Alabama used First Baptist Northport as a reference, as a guide in terms of their doctrine and how they handled things during the 60s era and things of that nature. And we were taught that the old songs are our anchor and the means by which our ancestry is passed from one generation to the next. And I believe that today that there is an eruption in that process.
And there's a crying need for the kind of information that you and Dr. Jones are going to give us this morning. Is that what we're saying?
I believe that there There is.
And of course, Reverend Jones, when we come back, we'll start with you. And what we want you to do is to give us some biographical information about Dr. Bradley, because I think that most of what we will talk about is centered around, as Minister Taylor has already indicated, is centered around the Bradley experience. And I understand that you are the author of the book dealing with Dr. Bradley. And when we come back during this second segment, I want you to take a few minutes to talk about your experiences and your research. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.